This week we're going to have a change of pace and talk with Martha Johnson, who leads the work of the Discovery Space at Early Start. And we film these interviews in the Discovery Space each week. So it's exciting to be able to talk to Martha about the work that she does and the sort of work that you've done in the past. So welcome.
Thank you, Leanne. It's good to be here. It's an unusual place to be.
Well, that's right. So can you tell me about some of your background in the sort of work that happens here, and then we'll go on to talk about the Discovery Space itself.
Yeah, so I started at the Discovery Space just before we opened, so in March 2015. And prior to that, I've had a range of jobs within the education sector. So I am primary education trained and did a couple of years teaching, but then I moved on to, I ran away and joined the circus, the Questacon Science Circus, and did that for a year. And then I've had a couple of other education roles throughout Victoria and New South Wales, teaching children and adults in various roles.
And now you've landed at the Discovery Space, which is exciting. So the Discovery Space is defined as a children's museum. What does that mean?
So a children's museum is essentially, when people think of a museum, they think of no touch, just look and wander through. Whereas for us, a children's museum is for the children, and it's very hands-on and interactive. And it's about learning through that play. So it's very hands-on and interactive with the sneaky, what I like to call sneaky learning throughout. So they don't actually know that they're learning there because it's all about play. Mm-hmm. Children's museums are, I suppose in Australia, when we opened, we were the only one at the time. There was one prior to us, but wasn't in operation when we opened. And since we've opened, we've noticed a lot of other children's museums cropping up, or museums having a children's museum element to it. So we can't say we're the only one, because we're certainly not in Australia, but they're really big in the United States, and that's where we based a lot of our model off. So in America, there are many children's museums, but all across the world there are museums as well.
Yeah, so there are museums with spaces for children, but not necessarily dedicated to children and their learning. And this, if I'm right, is the only one on a university campus. Is that right?
At this point in time.
At this point in time. So setting
leading the way.
That's right, leading the way and the path ahead. So how did this one come about?
So there was, obviously there's always a team behind creating something like this. We had support from a philanthropic donation from one of our donors, Christopher Abbott. He gave us a certain amount of money for us. We also had a government sponsorship donation to get us up and running. And of course the University of Wollongong supports us as well. So it was this three-party coming together to build the actual museum, but also to support the running of the museum.
So the space is a real testament to that partnership that has been between a philanthropist, government and the university.
Correct.
So it does set a great model for other children's museums.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what ages is the Discovery Space for?
So we say birth to 10, and they're accompanied adults. So we kind of want the adults to be part of that learning, because they are whether it's a parent, a carer, a teacher, an auntie, an uncle, they're very important to the child's life, and they're their first teachers for some time. So it's very much about being that adult and child interaction together. So anyone from but then of course, so the ages are to 10 for in the recommendation for children, but of course the adults can enjoy it as well, and there's no upper limit for adults.
No, there's always a space for play, right?
Absolutely.
Whatever age. So I know that it's not an exhibition as such as we would sort of think of as a museum space.
Yeah.
But what is here? Like what would people find if they came?
We call them experiences rather than exhibits, because each time you come into a space, you're going to experience it differently, depending on whether you dress up as a different character or take on a different role. You might interact differently to the experience because there might be someone different that you're there playing with, or you might make a new friend, and that then directs your learning or your play. And so it's not just a simple touch a button, come back, touch the button again, and the same thing's going to happen. Every time it might be slightly different. So we have about 14 experiences here. So one is the one that we're sitting in here at the moment. It's a campsite. There is a shipyard. There's a digestive tummy, so you can go in through the mouth and get farted out the other end.
Wow. What an experience.
Well, that's right. You've got to be in it to win it. And there's a bricks and clicks, so a room filled with Lego bricks, a puzzle room for the older children. We've got a crawlers beach for our youngest visitors, creativity, our beautiful gardens, which are a highlight usually, a construction site, and a marketplace. So they're kind of based around potential occupations or professions that children might then feel like they can aspire to do that when they grow up. So a construction site is not limited to just males. Females can feel like, and it's very popular with the females as well, to feel like they can become an engineer or a builder or whatever it is that they want. So we don't limit genders, we don't limit ages. Everyone is welcome to participate in any of our areas.
So what would a typical visit to the Discovery Space involve? What would a child maybe experience with their adult partner that they come with?
So once they enter, it's very free, so they can choose where they want to go. It's not, you have to go to this room first and then the next one, so it's very open. They may dress up in light, sound, action and put on a bit of a performance or sing a song. They might don a vest and go out to our archaeological dig and dig up something that they've found in the sand. They may get very wet out in our gardens with the running creek. And
beautiful on a hot day.
That's right. So just pack a spare pair of clothes. We have, an on-site cafe, but we're also open for people to bring their own picnic and, enjoy the outside area on their visit. Basically, a lot of fun it would be had, and our average visit is 2 to 3 hours that people would spend in the space. So it's a big day. Pack a spare pair of clothes, pack a lunch, and come and have some fun.
And also the beautiful grounds of the university too.
Of course,
around here to enjoy all of the lovely green space as well. So it is a whole day out.
That's right.
Definitely.
St. Gardens down the road.
Now, what about babies? Sometimes babies miss out on these wonderful experiences.
Yeah.
So what's here for babies?
So as I mentioned earlier, we do have the Crawlers Beach, which is a purpose experience which actually is limited in ages. So we say no older than 2 years in that space, so that it is a safe space for babies who are learning to crawl or maybe even walk. And in that space, it's been developed with our academics, had a lot of input in terms of what development stages that they require or what their needs are to be met there. So there's sensory blankets, tummy time mats, there's a variety of books and different sensory items for them to touch and play with on the wall. There's a jetty, and it's at a height so that the children can actually start to pull themselves up and coast along or take their first steps. So lots of mirrors for them to start to mimic words, speech patterns. If they say their first word. So that's a dedicated area for the young ones, but that's not to say that they can't get something out of the other areas as too. Yeah. So we have a sensory wall, which is very popular in terms of it's got lights, it's got sound, and it's got touchy feelies. There's also a light bright, which is colourful rods that are slotted into a dark wall, which the light then comes through. So coloured rods spark out, and the children can make different patterns. There's just that development of fine motor skills as well as they put it in and take it out, and that cause and effect. But even something like here in the campsite, they can enjoy the movement. So even just walking around and seeing the colours or the animals in the painting.
Our friendly quality.
Our quals, they're most important. And so there's things that they can absolutely. It may not be purposely built for a young child, but there's no limitation, and they can enjoy any of the spaces.
So at the other end of the spectrum, but not right at the top end, but what's your favourite activity?
My favourite activity is actually I do really enjoy this campsite because it was a great partnership that we did with one of the doctors down at biology faculty, and we tried to recreate what she would experience when going out into the field. So it's a very realistic in terms of the research. So we've got, these real trees, the trees which were actually knocked down from across the road. So we've repurposed these real trees to pop in here.
Yep.
We've got a camera and the bait trap set up just like Kat would do in her field study. We've actually got a real quoll that people can, learn about what quolls are and their importance and why we need to look after them. And then the beautiful mural, which a local
it's
local
just
artist
gorgeous,
made.
isn't it?
And,
I would like to go out in the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
See those.
we've tied in, Mount Gira and her 5 sisters are represented in the flowers forms there. So it's just nice to have those different connection points as well. And then of course, we've got poo scat, which is always fun, and creating that itself was a challenge, but a fun one to try and replicate poo. I love birds, so a bird hide to be able to, see the birds and hear their sounds and then get that connection as well. So.
Have you got any cassowary poo?
No, sorry.
It's very interesting to look at.
I might have to get on to
look
that
into
one.
that.
Yeah.
So interesting. So, just to finish up, what's up ahead for the Discovery Space?
Yeah, so obviously with COVID, we've had to put back a few of our launches, but we had hoped to have a sensory room, which we were going to title the Sanctuary, and so that's still in the works. We just have to postpone it for a little
So
while.
with the sensory room, what are you aiming to achieve with that room?
Yeah, so that will be a quiet space, a chill out zone. So it's not necessarily a sensory room as some might know it, because it's not going to look at all the senses, but it will be more for those that need a space to chill out or to calm down, to who may be overwhelmed, and that's a chance for them to have that respite. So there'll be items for them to touch, to feel. There'll be some scents that they can smell if that's something that relaxes them. There'll be weighted blankets. So there'll be hopefully a swing, like a cocoon swing for them to enjoy as well, and an optic fibre rain cloud. So different lights and but very much in the calming side rather than other sensory rooms where they want that high impact,
not the
or
overstimulation, but
overstimulation.
more of the just engaging in sort of deeper sensory experiences.
That's right. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, that'll be very exciting when that
Yes.
comes out. So thank you, Martha. I guess if people come here, they might find you in this space here or somewhere else around the
Absolutely.
Discovery Space. So thank you very much.
Thank you.